Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Dive Podcast. I am your host of the Trap or Die Podcast, Mual. AJ's in here. Dre is on the way. Appreciate everybody that's checking in live on the YouTube side. This man join the jump just to turn the camera off, bro. What's up, bro? What's up, man?
Yeah, no, the camera.
YouTube side, man. Benz, what's up? Everybody's checking in on Twitter, Twitch. Appreciate y'all. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're on the visual audio side, man, hit us with the rating and review if you can. Hit the button, man. Take 10 seconds to do so, and it's free to show your support that way. I see you, Benz. I see you. Dre, AJ, what's going on with y'all? How y'all feeling, bro?
I'm surviving, bro. I'm surviving. I'm still here.
I'm surviving.
Well, you're gonna have to feel that way for 8 more weeks.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, that's one thing, but I was still getting over this little illness bullshit over there.
Oh, damn, I forgot you did. Yeah.
it didn't put me down all week, but today I'm feeling better than I have been. So.
And they telling you take your ass in the office, bro.
I know. I had to show them better than I could tell them today. I said, yeah, I'm gonna show y'all how sick I am.
No mask.
It's like, okay, you can go home.
Like just coughing everywhere, bro. AJ, what's up with you, man?
Hey man, just cooling, just mentally preparing for next week, just trying to get everything together. Yeah, man, just chilling. I spent some free time just looking at Mike McDaniel offense and stuff like that. And
He's serious about this.
I mean,
AJ, we in 2026 offseason mode now, huh? If you looking at Mike McDaniel.
No, I'm not in offseason mode. But I was just looking at like different variations of how the offense processes and moving guys in motion to help get guys open, the run game, just like just trying to get a early jump on that conversation and what possibly may happen.
Well, it doesn't help. I mean, it doesn't hurt to look at scenarios. He and Joe Witt spoke today. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't have really many takeaways from either one of their press conferences. I mean, they said something. And, I guess if we want to start with one side, we're on Cliff already. Did y'all have any thoughts on it? He said that he felt like people were pressing. I just being honest, I'm sure he has like reasons for why he definitely has reasons for why he says that, but like
who
I don't necessarily
Cliff or Joe.
Yeah, Cliff. I mean, well, Joe probably said the same thing 1,000 times. Right. But Cliff mentioned he felt like his players on that side of the ball was pressing. I mean, I guess Dre, did you hear his press conference?
No, I mean I heard a little bit of Wits, but I didn't hear any of Cliff. So I was, if you had any Cliff notes, but what does pressing mean? I know we always hear it.
Yeah.
I mean, what are they nervous? I mean, what is it? Like, it sounds like that's one of those kind of things people kind of, as Dan Quinn likes to say, lean into when things aren't going well. Like,
yeah, typically, people kind of elaborate, right? I'm about to go to. Oh, this is already in single page mode. Yeah, I'm about to go to. I pulled up Cliff's presser now, so I'm gonna try and read through it. But people kind of elaborate on things like that, some nature, like hero ball and all this other stuff, and that's typically explainable. That's what Joe Witt said.
right.
Trying to get people to just do their job and let everything else fall in place. But I don't know, man. I think. I mean, that offensive side of the ball, like I just feel like they're so far behind. Cliff, this is my summation of like where I think Cliff is at. I just think like he's so far behind and trying to get anything and everything on track. It's probably baffling to him too for why he just can't find no chemistry. Regardless of who's in or out at receiver, like you still got your offensive line. It's crazy, actually. Now that I think about it, the trench is one of the most important parts. They've been the healthiest all season. That's been the healthiest group. So I don't know. I feel like maybe he's kind of baffled as to why he's not been able to get better production aside from the injuries. I mean, you had Marcus for 2 years. So like that shouldn't be a huge drop off. Like it's a drop off, but it shouldn't be a huge drop off. And then from a receiver standpoint, like that's kind of where you got to get into your bag as a coordinator, help your squad out, bro. So I don't know.
Did anybody ask him about the run game, like the consistency with the run game?
Yeah, so that was kind of one of the first couple questions. He said he thinks it's a combination of getting behind. He thinks it's a combination of getting behind early, where you abandon it at some point. Around the third quarter, you're trying to catch up, which hasn't helped. And then just trying to find the right matchups, right personnel groupings, different things to take advantage of to maximize your personnel. We got to do a good job of that. He feel like the guys that we're asking to step up and play have gotten a better feel for the offense at this point and should be able to start making some strides that'll help us not only in the run game but the pass game as well. That's quote unquote.
Well, I mean, it's like, bruh, let's look at the first drive against Seattle. They did not run the ball at all. The only runs that happened were manufactured because of the pass rush, like whipping Watson's ass where Jaden had to run. Like, and then even I got a tweet from Denton Day, a guest that's been on our show. He reminded me of like the Giants game where they threw the ball like I think it was like 3 and out. The first drive of the game was 3 passes. Then another game against the Chargers was like another just 6 passes, opening drive. Then another drive, it was just all passes. So it's like to say that comment is like, bro, you're not even trying to establish the run in some aspect or show the threat of run. So it's just a bit frustrating because I feel like everyone's bringing the heat primarily for Joe Witt Jr., but Cliff Kingsbury is right up there with the regression of play calling, and I guess you could say a real regression because Washington's defense wasn't good last year. So I mean, they're ranked maybe 30th. So for this offense to be one of the best in the league or whatever, for him to say that and how it's been producing, this is really showing the true regression of his play calling overall and how he's been able to handle the second year as being a coordinator. And it kind of goes back to the analytics of his time in Arizona.
What I think with Cliff, and the biggest thing I have an issue with is Cliff still wants to run and call his offense as if he has everything that he needs to run the offense. Now it's probably fine if Cliff wants to be this, a hot passer and, have the passing game be the main thing of the offense and that be the identity. If you got a healthy Jaden for, the whole season, if you have a healthy Terry, a healthy Noah Brown, I'm just mentioning guys who were supposed to be on the roster that was supposed to be contributed, but none of these guys have been there. So now, when Jaden's thrown out there, Jaden's barely healthy when he's out there. He's had a knee brace for most of the season. He's throwing at guys that are, weren't even in the top 3 of the receiving corps, to start the season, and these guys aren't getting open. So for me, Cliff hasn't shown the ability to adjust his offense. To AJ's point, where you talk about Denton mentioned in the Giants game where they open up and they're passing, and they have done that quite a couple of games this season, but the best the offense has looked all season, and I know it was, the opponent, it was the Raiders. And that was the game that was the only game this season that I saw Cliff come out there and establish the run from play one. And that set the tone for the rest of the game. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go out there and you're going to do that every game, but what I'm saying is they haven't went back to that at all. Like, we haven't seen any semblance of that, even with Mariota at quarterback. I know when Jaden's out there, he likes to use Jaden's arm a little bit more. But even with Mariota at quarterback, we haven't seen him go out there and try to establish that run like he did in that Raiders game. And it might not have been a coincidence that was the best your offense looked all season. So to me, Cliff just hasn't shown the ability to adjust to what he's had. And he's talked about his frustrations with certain players, not being available, not being healthy. Terry's holdout early in the offseason, but he's still running his offense like everyone and everything is there, instead of saying, let me adjust it a little bit. Let me find ways to get the run game going. And I know when coordinators do these Thursday press conferences, a lot of times they're just trying to get up out of there, say whatever. But I don't like the excuse of, the game got out of hand or the score dictates for how we're running the ball, because you can start dictating how you want to play possession number one before the game's out of hand, when the game's still kind of equal. You had the ball first this week. We haven't got the ball first a lot of times this season, but we got the ball first this week, and it was mostly passes. So that's how he dictated how the game was going to go. So that's what I'm saying. If you want to try something different, I want to see Cliff adjust. The results may not be too much different, but don't keep doing the same thing. We say the same thing on the defensive end. We don't want to see Joe Whitney going out there calling the same thing, doing the same thing. Well, Cliff, we want to see you adjust, and we haven't seen that yet. So, we'll see if he'll do something different going forward, but something has to change if you want this offense to have any kind of momentum for the rest of the season.
Where was the Moneyball mentioned? Well, he mentioned Chris Rodriguez. He didn't allude to that in his statement. Moneyball, specifically for those that's listening on the audio side, he basically said C-Rod is starting and Bill is getting benched. Somebody did ask a specific question about Rodriguez, and he said he thinks that, when you go through the flows of the season and different guys are called on, we've asked C-Rod to step up. He's played at a high level, and he's done that once again. But that's an area. Quote, let me actually pause right there. The question was more about using Chris Rodriguez to get more explosive plays in the backfield. So back to the response is that I think we've got to be able to get what's blocked, and then we have to have a chance to make a big one. We got to take advantage of that as well. There is something though, when I think about Bill and C-Rod, I don't know if I said it on this show, but it's actually kind of relative to the Terry conversation when we talk about how Terry is always brought down by the shoestring. Not to say that Bill isn't like an electric player to watch, but eventually you got to learn how to break those second level tackles and get you through to that third level to break those explosive runs. Bill has had some moments here and there, right? He had 2 big runs to date. The one against the Chargers, the one against the Giants at the end of the game. Those are your 2 biggest runs that you can think of when you think about Bill's rookie season so far. But at the same time, those 2 runs, well, the first one specifically, he wasn't touched going into the third level. The first one, he made somebody miss, but the flow of the defense allowed him to get to third level and stuff like that. He just had the vision. I think when you look at Sherrod, like there shouldn't be any excuse why he's not in the mix in terms of like a heavy spell between him and Bill. I don't know if Bill has that play strength yet, and contact balance to really like be what we see he can be right now. I think he has to work. He has to find a way to develop that, like make that second level guy miss, or have the play strength, that lower body play strength, where he can push through those tackles to actually have that explosiveness that people thinks that he has.
Yeah, no, and we've been talking about this all season because Chris Rodriguez is by far the best in between the tackles running back that the team has on this roster. But Bill, we've wanted to see, him with more opportunities, but I think at this point it's probably best to use Bill as a change of pace back. I think they've been kind of trying to force Bill to be the main back, and have J-Mac kind of in that Austin Eckler role. But I think they need to use all three. Like, don't just use two of them. We haven't seen any reason why one guy should be getting this amount of carries over any of the rest of the backs. At this point, I do think you need to go C-Rod as you're in between the tackles back, possibly mostly first or second downs. And then you just kind of spell Bill in on different possessions, and you can still use J-Mac in the role that he's in with Jeremy McNichols. You use him in the role that he's in. But we've been saying it all season. Why is Chris Rodriguez not getting more opportunities? Now, I didn't see the press conference. I know Moneyball has a tendency to exaggerate. So,
yeah.
Because he flat out said he's going to get benched. So, we'll see. But I do want to see more C-Rod this week. And, Mo, we might need another translation for him because I didn't see it. I'm reading his one where Cliff says the receivers can't take advantage of man or single coverage. Did he say it in those words or?
I think Moneyball is more accurate to that than everything else he said so far. But the first sentence where he said he took a shot at AP, no, it's literally the receivers that they have. He just said you got to be able to take advantage of the matchups when you can. There was a question about single man. I think they meant single high, the way this question is phrased, but they said single man coverages and man coverage. But I think it was single high is just a typo in the question. But he said you got to be able to take advantage of the matchups when you can. And so far they basically haven't been able to really attack that area of defenses when they come into a play playing that type of coverage. And it's facts. But at the same time, like, what can you do? Like, where's your bunches? Yes. Where's your trips? Where's your motions into stacked alignments? Help free these guys. Because, like, I even think about Jalen Lane. I don't know if y'all remember, but in preseason training camp, Cliff was talking about, like, Jalen Lane had this bag that he didn't know that he had as a route runner. And now he's talking about in the pressure today. Now, I'm not blaming him or anything. I'm actually just acknowledging, like, it went from one thing to another. Now he's saying that he's getting used. Jalen is to, like, the different variations of NFL coverages, specifically man, where he saw a lot of zone in college. But he's struggling. He didn't say struggling, but it's just been a challenge because he's developing in that area. And specifically, like, the slot position, I think he mentioned. Let me see. Did he mention? Yeah, he said, like, the slot position is where, like, he's really trying to find that development. So I think we're really back to square one in terms of, like, the evaluation with Jalen. Like, he came out VTech underdeveloped as a route runner. We still in square one.
Yeah. Well, let's see what Treylon Burks has. I know he's right. Different subject. We're gonna see him on the outside, but it'll be interesting to see him. Yeah,
that's an important change of pace in terms of the conversation. Like, you're talking about a former number one pick. You don't have to be super optimistic about him. I'm not super optimistic about him, but it's a different flavor in terms of, like, he's 6'3", 6'4", 220, 225. Yeah, like a big body receiver. And where I'm getting at, like, he has that round one, that first round talent, just keeps getting hurt. but you're going to be a featured receiver. They elevated him up from the practice squad. They signed him because of the Luke McCaffrey injury. Obviously, Terry is unavailable. So, like, he's going to get featured this week against Detroit. And what a better opportunity for him, albeit not with Jaden. What a better opportunity for Treylon to see if he can actually find a new home in Washington. Because if you can get Treylon like to feel like that number one pick again, not necessarily your number one receiver, right? Because you're going to need some help. But if you can feel like that number one pick again, like that's encouraging beyond 2025. All right. So we're good here. Let's actually take the ad break now. We don't have too much to say about this. We're going to come back. We're going to talk about that defense side of the ball and what Joe Witt had to say. Then we'll kind of do the preview of the game and get up out of here. All right. So let me tell y'all people over here that's in the chat about underdog fantasy. Football season is in full swing, and underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Whether you're into basketball, football, hockey, or any sport in between, underdog is the best place to get on the action all season long. Playing on underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower, such as stats like rushing yards, receptions, touchdowns, and more. So if we go to the NFL and we go to Sunday Night Football, I think that's actually a good game. Pittsburgh and LA, the Chargers. I like this one. I think I had the Chargers winning. Yeah, Justin Herbert, he's a tricky guy, man. And so is Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers, he could light you up at any minute. But I'm going to bet against Aaron, and I'm actually just roll with Justin, right? So Justin is at 258.5 passing yards. I'm going to go, actually, I like this one better. I'm going to go lower on Justin Herbert's 258 passing yards, right? But I'm going to go higher on Aaron Rodgers' 1.5 passing touchdowns. I like that one. Because Aaron Rodgers knows how to throw the football in the end zone, especially in the red zone. So we're going to go higher on Aaron Rodgers' 1.5 passing touchdowns. We're going to go lower on 258.5 Justin Herbert passing yards. DK Metcalf, he has 3.5 receptions. We're going to go higher on DK Metcalf. And then we're going to go, I like Gadsden, man, but I just have a hard time trusting rookies. I'm going to go with the explosive guy that Washington that the Chargers have, and I'm going to go with Quentin Johnson. He's at 43.5 receiving yards. We're going to go higher on Quentin Johnston. So let's wrap this up one more time. Higher on 43.5 Quentin Johnston receiving yards. Higher on DK Metcalf's 3.5 receptions. Lower on Justin Herbert's 258.5 passing yards. And higher on Aaron Rodgers' 1.5 touchdowns. Download the app today. Sign up with promo code TRAP-OR-DIVE to score $100 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That is promo code TRAP-OR-DIVE. Underdog. Make picks. Win money.
Be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Arizona, Massachusetts, and Virginia, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/play and get terms _DFS_.html for details. Offer not valid in Maryland, Michigan, New Jersey, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. In New York, call the 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369.
All right, there it is. Hey, so let's go ahead and talk about the defense for a second. Like I said, with him, or similar to Cliff, I didn't see like too many things or hear too many things that caught my eye. He did a adequate enough job explaining why he was moving from the box down to the field. Long story short, it's basically all he's known his entire coaching career. from college to the NFL. He's only known his coordinators to coach and call from the box. The advantage from the visual level was a big deal, but he's moving down to the field. He'll have a chance to help with personnel. He said that the players have asked him sparingly, to help him to come down to the field, and he think it's time to do that. And I mean, I think that's kind of the explanation that you get. He said that he's the one that suggested it to Dan Quinn as well, as opposed to Dan Quinn making that change. He wanted that to be known that this wasn't the way he said it. Like, it was all rip. He's like, yo, I did this. Dan Quinn, they forced me down there. So, yeah, man. He also thinks that, hindsight is 2020. He doesn't think that being on the field prior to today or this week would have helped. But I don't know, man. He got a lot to prove these last 8 games, and I don't mean like there's a lot of. I mean, we kind of understand contextually speaking. He has a bad deck of hands. But again, we had that conversation Tuesday. We know that you have a bad deck of hands, but at this point, what can you do? You can infuse some of those younger guys. And not saying that's the answer, but it'll allow you to figure out who else do you have on this roster that you can really like make something shake with.
But I mean, the whole moving from the booth to the sideline thing is just funny to me because, and especially the way Joe Witt came out today, because one thing Joe Witt gonna do, he gonna control his own narrative. He ain't gonna let you believe that somebody making him do anything. Everything he letting you know, I said this is on me. I decided to do this. But I mean, if you decided to do this, why didn't you do it, weeks ago? But either way, I think that's just window dressing. I don't think that this actually, makes much of a difference. Maybe in terms of, kind of pumping guys up or hyping guys up on the sideline. I don't know, but I mean. Hopefully something changes. But I mean, at the end of the day, like Joe Witt in his defense, I mean, at some point, yes. I mean, I'm questioning the coaching a lot. I'm looking and saying they can do this, they can do that. But now they are really at a point now with who do you have? Like, I mean, defensively, it's hardly nobody to watch, especially when you talk about the edge rushers. You have nobody there. And now we're about to find out about the cornerback situation. This is actually the most intriguing thing to me about the defense because without Marshawn Lattimore, now, I mean, I do think Marshawn Lattimore is going to be a bigger loss than some might think he is, but it's going to be interesting now to see what happens with Mike Sainristil. Like Mikey Sainristil, you got to see if you can get something back of that guy that you saw last year, even if, some of you all might say, yeah, well, I always thought he was a fluke. But either way, he was much more productive last season. He didn't look as bad as he did last season as he does this season. But you want to see if you can. You talking
about Sainristil?
Sainristil, yeah, Sainristil.
Oh,
yeah.
I heard you go to Marshawn. I said, who wasn't bad last year?
Oh no. What? No, I went from Marshawn to say Mikey Sainristil is, as far as now, if you're moving him back to the outside, and I do think I heard part of Joe Witt's presser today when someone tried to ask him, who was going to be lining up where, and he said, that's the competitive advantage. We're not going to give that away. I think that was in as it pertains to Mikey and where he might line up at. But yeah, I want to see if they can get that guy that we drafted last year, that guy that looked like he could have been in that conversation for defensive rookie of the year at some points of the season last year. You haven't seen any kind of remnants of that guy, except for a couple of times he made a couple of plays. He has 3 interceptions this season, but for the most part, he's been bad at coverage a lot of times. So maybe a lot of people think that is because he's bad in the slot, which he hasn't been good in the slot. But he was decent. The most production you got out of him was on the outside. So if you're going to move him back out there, that's probably the thing that I'm looking forward to for the rest of the season, because that can't be a wasted pick. Because if Mikey is a wasted pick, you already feel like Ben Sinnott was a wasted pick in that second round last year. You still haven't seen enough of Johnny Newton to say that he was worth that second round pick, last year. So you will be talking about kind of a 0-for-3 swing of second round picks last year. So Mikey is the big question for me now going forward. Even Johnny, I want to see more Johnny now. Give him some more of those snaps. I see he's still not getting, the majority of the snaps at DT, and I get that. You like Deron Payne, you like Javon Kinlaw, and it's kind of hard to move those guys off those spots. I don't know how healthy Johnny was last week, but I do remember Joe Witt saying that with the rest of the edge rushers being out, Johnny was the guy that they wanted to kick to the edge. Like he would be that guy. So maybe if he's healthier this week, we'll see a lot more Johnny, and we're not going to just see him rushing from the interior. You'll see him rushing from the edge. Maybe that makes him more productive. But I think those are a couple of the things outside of course, like the Jordan McGee's, just seeing more of the young players on the field. Like these are the guys I'm going to be watching going forward. I don't have many expectations that the defense is going to be drastically better, but if I'm going to get any kind of enjoyment out of the rest of the season, at least on that side of the football, is going to be watching the ascension, or hopefully the ascension of those young guys that we have on that defense.
Any thoughts, AJ?
Yeah, I mean, I'm here. I'm just I had something else happening real quick, but if you could re-ask the question real quick.
It was just a thought about Joe Witt, bro. Did you hear his presser?
No, I didn't hear anyone's presser. Didn't really tap into it today. I think I did see like a excerpt of where he was saying that from him being on the sideline, it could be a difference in a sense, like, got to switch it up and do something different. And also, some players have been asking for him to be on the sideline. Um, I mean, don't really know what to expect from that, but I guess you could feel his energy more. I don't know Joe Witt Jr. personally, but I do know some people that have played under him as he's been their DB coach, and they've raved about his energy and stuff. So maybe sometimes that's something that you need to feel on the sideline, and being able to talk through communication hand on hand instead of being in the box. Now, I don't know if that means everybody else will be on the sidelines, such as like the Ryan Kerrigans and other defensive coaches. But, maybe we see a little extra from them, and them being able to feel his energy from good plays and negative plays that they make, and being able to address them more so on the fly, and they can communicate what they're seeing out there that could be a positivity or negativity, and him having to adjust and call in plays to adapt to them. But I mean, typically when you have these situations, it really kind of indicates that, that person's job is on the line. I think the last time we really highlighted someone having this similar thing take place for them was damn, what's the black defensive coordinator that also was like the head coach, I think, a little bit for the Panthers?
Oh, you talking
Wilkes.
about Steve Wilkes?
Yeah, Steve Wilkes. We seen Steve Wilkes with the 49ers move from the booth to the sideline, or whatever. And I think 49ers ended up making the Super Bowl that year. But like that's kind of like the real last conversation we had of like a coordinator moving from the booth to the sideline. So I mean, don't really know
Still
what
got
to.
fired, which is
Yeah, he still
funny
got
enough.
fired. That's what I'm saying. So it's like you're on your way out anyways, right? So it's like you trying something different. But I mean, it all signals to Joe Witt Jr.'s last hoorah as D coordinator for Washington. I think that him being on the sideline is just like the last play. Because I even touched on it in Tuesday's episode. If the defense is looking bad now, Dan Quinn is smart not to fire Joe Witt Jr. You might as well let him ride it out. Because
Yeah.
if he fires him and he takes on the play calling of defensive coordinator, and it looks exactly the same, it's like, then what the hell are you here for in a sense? It
Where
that
do you
just
think
mean
that
that
pressure
just
comes
mean
from, AJ?
that just mean the whole scheme is screwed, and also personnel.
But AJ, what do you think that pressure is coming from, as far as like for them to move Joe Witt to, from the booth to the sideline? And I'm asking that because, obviously, Dan Quinn, he has a relationship with Joe Witt, and people say that's his buddy friend. Do you think that comes from Dan Quinn feeling some type of way about Joe Witt, or do you think it's coming from Dan Quinn feeling some kind of outside pressure to make an appearance that he is doing something different?
I think it's outside appearance, and I also think that at some point you got to do something different. You can't just continue to do the same thing and not really have the answers. But even like Dan Quinn's tenure as Dallas Cowboys coordinator, he called from the booth. You know, I want to say when he was back in Seattle, he was on the sideline, but in Dallas, he primarily was in the booth with Joe Witt Jr. and the rest of that staff. So I just think that it's like I said, it's the last hoorah. I mean, he doesn't really want to fire Joe Witt Jr. because he knows he's an amazing coach. But at the end of the day, I think they also understand that there's a disconnect from the personnel that they have and the scheme that they are trying to run. So it's just like, hey, I am getting some pressure. Let's see if this shit'll make a difference by putting you on the sideline.
Detroit. Yes, I agree with you, Monty. Still dealing with year one problems. I mean, honestly, by default, Monty, as well, you mentioned about Von Miller. You're gonna see more of him. And I'm sure that's not what he came here for, but that's the situation he in. So it is what it is. Let's get into Detroit, man. I don't think this coordinator is going to forget to use Jahmyr Gibbs like that old dude did. That's my number one threat. J-Mo for sure. In the secondary, I mean, you know, Amon-Ra, he going to move the chains, but Jahmyr Gibbs, where's my camera? Jahmyr Gibbs, J-Mo, Amon-Ra. In that order. And I think Jahmyr may fuck around and get at least 150 all purpose. How do we stop him? I guess that's kind of because let's kind of actually have a conversation. I don't want to just. How do we stop a Jahmyr Gibbs? Like, are we going to pick our poison here? Are we going to load the? Oh, that's terrible. I don't think we're going to load the box like. But how do you do this? Do you like run more base coverages? I mean, base formations, 43. Get your line back. Oh Lord! And what you gonna do with Bobby Wack?
That speed better be on the field. You better have them young boys on the field, man.
Joe said his one of the bright spots was Jordan McGee. Cool. It's a perfect opportunity to start. I mean, because you got Bobby Wagner playing 99% of the snaps. Like, he's still not coming off the field. This is a perfect opportunity to start saying, you know what, Bobby? You did good on this first down, but we don't need you the rest of this drive. Like, it's perfect opportunity to start, you know, finding out how we can use the speed that we do have, whether it's the Madranos, Jordan, Louvu's still going to be around, so that's good, but
Tyler,
I think that's second
on the field more.
Yeah, if you want to use him in the box, that's one. I think, yeah, you can use him in the box for sure. But I think that second level is going to be real important if we're talking about how we contain their run game. That's going to be the biggest thing. To still have Goldman and Kinlaw, and I think that's a big deal. And to still have those two as well as Daron Payne, right? In terms of just injuries, because that's to have them where you can move them around on your defensive line. I think that's going to be a big deal. But that second level and how you do your alignments, whether it's your 43 under, where you got basically like a 34 alignment, what it looks like, and how you can control that the edge, or contain the edge. I don't know, man. I think that second level is just going to be pretty big. But yeah, who are your? I guess if we want to transition, like for you, I named my three in order. Like, where's your head at in terms of like the 2 to 3 biggest threats that Washington cannot ignore?
Well, 2 of them. Well, actually, I mean, the 3 obvious ones: the running back, tight end, and wide receiver. Laporta's having a hell of a season. Of course, Gibbs. And what worries me about Gibbs is we already faced Bijan Robinson and we couldn't do anything with him. So I'm just picturing that Falcons game all over again for this defense. Then, of course, Amon-Ra. But there's another person on that Lions offense. I mean, he's not a skill position player, but he might be the best right tackle in the game, and that's Penei Sewell. And I mentioned him because we can't get to the quarterback. We couldn't get to Sam Darnold at all last week, and you got a strong offensive line like that. Where do you attack this team from the defensive standpoint? It's like you said, bro. Yeah, and that's the thing. So, I understand we have what we have, but we can't talk about that. Joe Witt has to do something to not let this be embarrassing. Like, he has to come up with something confusing, something aggressive. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I think the biggest deal is like we can hang our hat on at one point this season. We can hang our hat on generating pressure, but
Yeah,
after I seen last week, bro, like it's just crazy. Like, and I guess that's kind of why they're the coordinators. But just like last week, I said, bro, we can get home on Sam Darnold, create pressure. I knew what we had in our
mhm.
favor if we can do that. But seeing that we had 3 pressures, 4 pressures on Sam Darnold, that's what causes for concern. Because I'm like, bro, like we've had moments throughout the year
Yeah.
where we couldn't create pressure, but that is the lowest amount I've seen all season. So going into the Detroit game after that performance, of course they're going to be a re-emphasized focus on creating pressure, and I understand that, and I think we'll see a little bit more. But how much more? Like how much more consistent can that rush line be, or even the second level, to actually create some pressure on Jared? I think that's going to be
Yeah.
a big key too. But creating pressure is like you got to bounce back from such an abysmal night last week.
Because they got to him a bit last year, didn't they? I mean, when the playoffs, they got
Yeah.
the golf a bit. Maybe use Frankie Louvu as that, that jack of all trades type of guy this time. But you have to be some kind of aggressive because you can't afford to let that second and third level, their defenses get exposed over and over and over again. And that's what can happen when you give a guy like Goff time. Because, like I said, he's a similar quarterback to Sam Darnold. You just watched how Sam Darnold torched you when you couldn't get any pressure on him. You do the same thing with Jared Goff, and it's going to be curtains. So, no, Joe Witt is going to have to get some kind of aggressive, do something different this game because you can't go out there and just flail your arms in the air and wave the white flag for these guys because they're going to probably want to score 50 on you. They still pissed about last year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Joe Witt Jr. had a lot of success in a sense against Detroit last year in the playoffs. I mean, they still put up a high clip of points. And like you said, Maul, Ben Johnson kind of went away from Jahmyr Gibbs, would help Washington kind of stay in the game. But Jahmyr Gibbs didn't necessarily have like the greatest game last week. The coordinator has also been not really getting JMO as involved. I think that they could apply some pressure to Golf, maybe have Kinlaw and Payne play the edge a little bit more, have Louvu blitz up the gap instead of putting him in coverage and have Jordan. I think Jordan McGee plays his highest snap count that he has played all season. I think that Tyler Owens also will be very active in playing closer to the line of scrimmage to try to disrupt something with his size and his athleticism. I think that we also see Trey Amos on the outside with Mikey Sanders still on the outside and Jonathan Jones at nickel cornerback on Sunday. So I just don't know with the safety play, man. Quan and Revo, like I just don't know what happens there. I really don't. The only thing that's giving me some hope is that Joe Witt Jr. did face the same personnel group last year. And they've lost some offensive linemen from Detroit's time. And it's a different play caller, but at the same token, he has some success, so I expect him to go back to some of those notes. But Detroit got a lot of weapons, man. Like they got a lot of damn weapons, way more than what Seattle did. And I mean, we watched Sam Darnold, as we stated, go 16 for 16, what 3 or 4 touchdowns in the first half.
Yeah, 4
So
touchdowns.
yeah, 4 touchdowns in the first half. So it is a bad game to have to bounce back from. But I think if they get their ass kicked from a defensive standpoint, I think we'll be talking about Joe Witt Jr. getting fired or Ben fired going
He
into
ain't getting,
Tuesday. I mean, I
he
just
ain't
I
getting
just
fired.
think if it's another bad showing, bro, you're gonna the pressure that you just asked me about is gonna come. Like it maybe Dan Quinn doesn't take over play calling, but maybe Ed Dontrell does or Ken Norton Jr. You feel me? They both have D coordinator experience. Something has to give. If it's a bad showing like what you had Sunday night,
Okay,
yeah.
But to his point,
okay,
that'll be the full straight blowout.
it was. So let's do this. And then we can go to the offense right quick. Percent chance if it's a bad showing, percent chance for you. No, just get a percentage, nothing else. What's the percent chance he gets fired if there's a bad showing again Sunday?
I say 95%.
Damn. I'm gonna say 20%.
I'm at 5. All right,
I mean,
offensively.
you move that man to the sideline. Then y'all also like
I mean, we ain't got to do the argument. It's we got our percentages. We good. Let's go ahead, keep the show pushing. I'm not to cut you off. I'm just saying that's what. Let's see who's where we at. Offensively, Aiden Hutchinson, another guy who is a big name in this one. He did not play in January. He's gonna go up. He's gonna go up against Josh Connolly. That's it. Like, I think if you cannot control Aiden, who is like the high motor, he's like a step above Max Crosby, maybe 2 steps above Max Crosby, in my opinion, in terms of motor. Like, that's how dominant he is, right? And relentless. If you can't control him, he'll ruin the whole day. No matter what you try to do, 3-step, 5-step, 7-step, god damn. Roll out, boot. He on your ass, bro. So I don't know. Like, are we? I think the biggest deal. I think when it comes to these guys, chip help is going to be a big deal. Slide protection is going to be a big deal. And for the love of God, just do not put Zach Ertz in any situation where he has to pass protect. I don't give a damn what side he's on. Don't keep him.
He don't even want to.
Send him downfield. I don't care if it's 4th and 30. Send him downfield. Because he is not no pass blocker. Where are we at in terms of, that's my main priority is Aiden Hutchinson. Where are y'all at in terms of like how this offense has a successful day against Detroit?
I mean, I think it starts off with putting a onus on the run game. Like, I think we see a lot of 13 personnel. I think we see a lot of chip help and support to Josh Connolly Jr. against Aiden Hutchinson because I don't think it's favorable for Detroit to move Aiden to the other side. Laramie Tunsil is there, who has shown to be, in my opinion, an all-pro thus far this season. So I think that's what happens. And I think we also got to remember, same way they have Aiden Hutchinson, Washington now also has Sam Cosmi back on their offensive line that they didn't have in the matchup that took place earlier this year in the playoffs.
No, Sam was in there. That's where he tore his ACL. He tore his ACL against Detroit.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it happened against Tampa, but yeah. So I mean, I think we see more of the run game be very telling with the first 15 in the script, especially the first 2 plays of the drive, opening drive for Washington, what they decide to do. Yeah, man, I just think that with this offense, you're not really getting much play action out of it. So you're not really slowing down a guy like an Aiden Hutchinson with that hot motor and his pursuit. But if they can run outside the tackles and in between the tackles, I think that help to alleviate some of the pressure that you might receive from Aiden Hutchinson in particular on Sunday, but also on that back end. Detroit still got a Brian Branch that's roaming all over the field, and a Kirby Joseph who's a ball hawk. So those are definitely some other pieces to be concerned about, especially if there's a pass rush that is very effective in getting after Mariota and them being able to flip the field.
Yeah, Aiden Hutchinson, I still have nightmares of that game when he wrecked the whole first half with Carson Wentz. A couple years ago, we went down to Detroit, and that's when I knew. I said, man, this dude's a killer. Yep, he wrecked the whole game plan. So I was a little fortunate. I was a little happy that we didn't have to face him last year in the playoffs. But we get to see him again. And this is going to be another moment for Josh Connolly to grow up. But they're going to have to help Connolly. You can't leave him on an island over there. You're going to have to, give him some chip help. Do whatever you can. And, to kind of mitigate that or, get rid of some of those issues, utilize the run game. This is where you probably also, kind of glad to have Mariota in there a little bit because you can lean on some of those read options and put Mariota in harm's way, so to speak. Because Mariota doesn't mind running, So I mean, that's one of the things you can kind of do to kind of not deal with
knock that fucking
rush.
hurdling off like an idiot.
I know. Yeah, come on, bro. Now Mariota is prone to some of those dumb things, even with the intentional groundness. Like he's prone to give you some of those kind of, what are you doing, bro? You're a veteran, So hopefully Mariota can kind of limit those. But no, that's of course Aiden Hutchinson's the guy. Of course, as AJ mentioned, the secondary guys, but then he also got one of the best linebackers in the game, Jack Campbell. He's been playing some great football this year. So Detroit has some pieces. We kind of got this.
And I'm about to say they got that linebacker coming back. Rodriguez or whatever that dude name.
Is it Anzalone? Alex Anzalone?
No.
Rodriguez.
Because it's like Jack Detroit. I'm looking it up now. Because he was a dog and like he was an undrafted linebacker.
Malcolm Rodriguez.
Yeah, Rodriguez.
Okay. Yeah. He was injured.
He was. I think he was on like IR, and he came back either like a week or two ago. But I'm looking it up now. See, Malcolm Rodriguez. Oh, he's currently on PUP with an ACL injury, so he's still not back yet. Okay. I could have sworn it. So I guess he's still making strides to come back. Okay. Yeah, he has his 21 day window. That's what I'm thinking of. All right, so he's still
okay. But either way, I mean, they still got a lot of pieces on that defense. A lot of pieces we didn't have to see last year, but you're going to see them now. And you don't have a Jaden Daniels out there to kind of bail you out in this game. So again, this is going to be on Cliff to see what he can generate, because these last couple of weeks, I mean, we're talking about the defense and the blowouts that you're having. The offense hasn't helped these guys out. They haven't put numbers on the board. So if you can't help the defense, because that's going to be one of your also helpful, ways is putting points on the board. You're going to have Cliff that he's going to have to scheme up something on these guys, because again, they haven't been good the last 4 weeks either. So can Cliff go out there and do anything against a hungry defense? Because the Lions going to be hungry.
Yeah, I think last thing, and we can get to our predictions, over unders, things like that. It's gonna be a good way to gauge like Cliff's protection plan moving forward, because I mean it's been conversations sporadically throughout the season, like what is his protection plan in some instances. Last year it was pretty evident. There was not a play, basically a passing play, where he went out and you didn't have two chippers on both sides of the tackles, whether it's your tight ends, receivers, running backs. This year is a little bit different. Obviously, you have Laramie Tunsil, but at the end of the day, that edge pressure, is still pretty big. Obviously, it's more so on one side than it is both. But at the end of the day, how are you going to make sure that your quarterback feels like he has time? I think that's going to be a big deal. All right. So let's go ahead and get into our score predictions, our over-unders, or higher or lower. And let's see what we have. We don't have to. See, it's been like this all season. All right, here we go. All right. Let's start with the quarterbacks. Jared Goff, higher or lower? 257 passing yards. 257 and a half passing yards. Higher. Okay.
Higher.
Mariota, 200 and a half passing yards. We're going to go higher or lower?
How many?
200 and a half.
200 and a half.
Yeah.
All right. I say lower.
I'm going to say higher.
I'm going to go lower. I'm with AJ. Bill Merritt, he's at 44 and a half rushing yards. We're going to go higher or lower. Matter of fact, let's do a combination. I don't know why I said it like that. 90 rushing yards combined for the three running backs, McNichols, Bill, and Rodriguez.
Combination denied.
90. Are we gonna go higher or lower?
Combination tonight.
I'm gonna say lower.
Okay, lower combined. Okay, for all three of them. All three of them things. Okay.
I don't see Cliff until Cliff got to show me. For me to believe it, I got to see it.
Okay. I'm gonna go lower too. I don't see over 90. I don't even see, honestly, I don't see over 80. But yeah, I'm going lower. Okay, Monty said higher. All right.
Okay.
Where you at, AJ?
I say combination tonight.
Does that mean lower?
Combination denied, man. He's going
Okay,
lower.
lower. Yeah, combination tonight. There we go.
Jameer Gibbs, he's at 70.5 right now. We're gonna go higher or lower? Higher.
Combination approved.
I'm gonna say higher on one run. He gonna get a 77-yard touchdown.
Damn.
Hey, man,
Hey, what if that's the first play of the game, bro? I'm cutting it off.
It's be the Monday Night Massacre all over again.
Jameer Gibbs,
Hey,
one of my
bro.
favorite players. So yeah, against this defense, man, that boy gonna have 3 touchdowns.
All right, so we're gonna do 2 receivers. We'll do Deebo Samuel. He's at 54.5 receiving yards. Higher or lower?
Lower.
I'll say higher.
Lower. I think my inclination earlier in the season about his peak being a Giants game is proven itself. I don't see that man going off anymore the rest of this season.
They put him back on kickoff returns last week, which was surprising.
Yeah, Luke got hurt. That's yeah. I think that's why.
Luke got hurt and then Jalen
fumbled. Yeah, and Jalen fumbled.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna go low on 54.5 receiving yards. Monty said lower. Yeah. And then we're gonna do Jameson Williams. Not Amon-Ra, because he's the volume guy. Amon-Ra, he's at 80.5 receiving yards. Higher or lower?
Easily higher.
Higher.
I see lower for him, and whatever J-Mo's number is, high.
He was at 40.5 or 45.5.
Yeah, J-Mo.
I think
J-Mo might catch 2 bombs.
Yeah, I mean they both smacking the number. I ain't gonna lie to you, both of them. So I ain't even think twice about that. Monty said higher. Yeah, Monty said higher. All right, let's get to our score predictions and our MVPs. Who wants to be the first person at this?
I'll go first. I think Sunday's game is not going to be a pleasant one to watch. I think that you mentally need to prepare yourself to just be having deja vu from last Sunday, just at an earlier time. I think that Detroit ends up winning 48-17. MVP of the game, Jameer Gibbs.
You know what? As much as I want to think this game's going to be a blowout, Moneyball said something that I was going to bring up too. In that line, it's I don't know how we are only
fool you.
8.5. I get it, and I'm not going to bet on this. Trust me. But because of that spread should be much higher, I'm going to say 38-30. Washington finds a way to put up points, but Washington loses 38-30. They just cover the spread. And MVP, I'm gonna say I think Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to be the offensive MVP for Detroit, and then defensively, Aiden Hutchinson. I think he'll have his day on this.
Yeah, I think Detroit's going to try their best to get a 50 burger, maybe even a 60 burger put on this, but it's not going to happen. But they're going to get close. I think the score is going to be like 40-17. Just don't think Washington has the horses, bro. They don't have the facilities for that, Batman. So it's just over. If they cover, I'm not here for no more victories, but at least it'll be a watchable game if they get covered. They cover the number. This is so sad, bro.
I know it is.
the MVP is Jameer Gibbs. I'm right there with AJ, bro. Jameer Gibbs. Monty said 52-10 Detroit MVP, whole Detroit offense. And Moneyball said alt them to 11 and a half and be a winner. So he's saying alt spread. Okay. Yeah. I ain't touching. First of all, I told you I'm dead ass. I'm doing an all Detroit parlay, bro. I swear to God. All right. Let's get to administrative items. Another administrative item. We 50-50 on post-game recap tonight. Sunday. Just the FYI, I think there's some things going on. And for sure next week, well, the airspace is a little tricky with FAA. I have no idea where I'm going to be on Wednesday. It looks like we will be right now as I'm talking on Thursday in Madrid. So the next two post games, there may be none on Trap or Dive. So just a heads up. Weekly will be okay, but this Sunday and next Sunday for Spain, there may be no post game recaps. All right, that's where I put up for us. Let's get to the Sunday night game or Thursday night game, y'all. Y'all be safe. Dre, AJ, take it easy. And we will catch each other. Are y'all? Well, I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it later in the chat. We gone. Peace.
Yes, sir.
Chop it down. Chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Chop it down. You gon' chop it down. Damn, set. Watch him throw the ball. We gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through fourth and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Dive.